Welcome to Sacred Magic. Violet is on a quest to bring sacredness back into our everyday experiences. Anyone can have an extraordinary life when they are able to tap into their sacred magic within. Violet and her guests will be sharing their divine passions, inspirations, and stories of connecting with their sacred magic. We are so happy you have joined us today. Let's get started with your host, the magical creator of Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Vialet Rayne.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sacred Magic Podcast. I'm your host, Vialet Rayne, and my guest today is Kazemaru. I probably messed that totally up. She is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful practitioner in Hawaii, and she got up early this morning to chat with us. So I'm really excited to have her. She was trained in meditation and healing practices since a young teen, then later went on to be an apprentice in cultural and spiritual paths by high masters in Japan, India, and Hawaii between 1991 and 2012. The last few years, she realized that along the way, it was her psychic mediumship abilities that's guided her along and started training with people accomplished in the field like Tony Stockwell and Theato, and I may have really mispronounced that. She now works to assist others to see beyond the physical realms to connect to that which spirit provides. Now, spirit has been consistent in us needing to connect because we tried this once before and our timing was way off. And so we're back here again. And then we had technical difficulties this morning trying to get all of our systems to work. So thank you for your patience and thank you for being on the show. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the patience.
Spirit was adamant. We had to meet and talk. So I love that. I love that. So share with us a little bit about your spiritual journey, what led you, because I feel like lots of people are awakening and stepping into who they are. And so just share with us your journey, because I love to start with that.
Yes, well, I don't really know where to start because in many ways I was born into it and led onto the path by my parents and my school and spirit. Yes, so my interest, really started when I was 3, about reincarnation. And then when I was 5, I decided, I'm going to dedicate my life. So I decided not to have children at the age 5 because I wanted to focus on my spiritual work. And then my father was martial arts practitioner, sensei. So I was in a dojo raised when I was a teen, and part of that practice was meditation. So from 13, I loved the practice of meditation. 13, that's a long time ago.
But that's awesome. Do you know how many people today struggle with meditation? They really struggle to get into that space. So to be so young, to be connected to that and to start practicing that, what an amazing gift for you in your life, right?
Yes, true blessing. Yeah, I think it saved me and my sanity and my path so over and over, really. Yeah.
So for you, you've done some meditation practices and trained in it. What would you tell people that are a little bit resistant with meditation? What tips and tricks do you have that really get people to connect to the importance of that?
That's a wonderful question. I would say to first of all make a solid research in the various methods of meditation, because there are 1,000 ways to meditate. And many people say, oh, but I don't know how to quiet my mind and think of nothing. And I would say, well, you're human still, you're in a human form. It would be almost impossible. And it's not the goal. So I would say find a meditation that fits you and your mindset. And it has to be interesting and entertaining, and you have to love the feeling of it. And just blank silence might be hard to just love, but to have something that is interesting, stimulating, exciting, that method of meditation. Because there is ways to meditate that is really, really colorful and exciting and makes you just feel and connect to that abundance of love within. Yeah, I think love is a theme for me.
I love that. I love that because meditation is really about slowing down. It's really about spending time in stillness and not trying to check your phone or the internet or watching TV or listening to music, or it's about taking that space for yourself and just being in that stillness, which we have a hard time with because we have these zillion to-do lists that we're constantly doing, and then we try to get off that wheel, that hamster wheel, and it's hard to quieten our mind. And I think you just can't be hard on yourself. You're
No,
just
yeah.
taking time. Yeah.
And there
Yeah.
is music within the soul that is so beautiful within each and every one. So it's like listening to that and wanting to hear that music of the soul. Yeah.
I love that. I love the music of the soul. I have taught that before, that we all have our own personal sound and music and tone. That's what makes it really beautiful. And if you haven't connected with that, right, there are lots of teachings about we get misaligned through our experiences so that our song is not totally aligned. So getting in that alignment to hear our own soul's song and music is really, really beautiful, right? So I love that. I love that. So, what is the nature and capacity of our soul? So, share a little bit about what that means to you.
Yes. I think each and everyone has, of course, their individual personality, and it all comes from the soul. And I feel everything we look for externally is what we have in our nature naturally, but we just forgot. So the nature of the soul, I would say, like important is to feel its abundance, and the eternity that is immortal. It never, the soul of us never ever dies. And it contains all of that which we are looking for: the love, the joy, the peace, the strength, the wisdom. And it's like a spark of life that contains all of that. Yeah. So it cannot be destroyed. Yeah.
I love that. So beautiful how you put that. I really, you had such advantages with your family supporting you and spirituality where a lot of people don't have that. And so that is a gift in itself, because most people don't step into their spirituality until much later in life because they didn't have that support.
Mm.
So a lot of people are looking at who am I? What's my divine purpose? And I'm sure you get asked that question a lot. What do you tell your clients that come craving to know who they are? How can they discover that and find that?
Yeah, that's again, I feel it's very individual. Everybody has a certain calling. And I feel again the alignment, finding the alignment between what is really at their core and how does that look externally, and really to trust your calling and your core purpose, and like a real solid soul conversation with yourself, and be like almost brutally honest.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
beyond anybody's expectation or what you have learned, like from outside pressure or expectation. Yeah, there is a core within that tells us all what is our purpose. And for me, I feel it's always to be a better human being. Because since I was a child, I think I had a little bit hard time to understand the human world because I was constantly like a little bit too much in the spirit dimension. And I felt like to merge the spiritual and the physical, so the spirit part and human part of the self, and to become that human that the soul really is originally, kind and caring and mindful of others. And yeah,
I
for
love
me,
that. I love
um,
that. I feel like sometimes if you just pay attention to what you get excited about, what your passion is,
yeah,
that's going to tell you what your purpose is, because that's what drives us. That's what motivates us. That's what guides us. And
absolutely.
if you feel like you're living a life that has been given to you, for example, hey, everyone in my family is lawyers, or everyone in my family is doctors, and I should be that, but I don't feel that pull, that passion, that excitement, then you're not in alignment. Now, picking that family and choosing that, there's real purpose there because there's a lesson there for you to find, but doesn't necessarily mean that you need to follow those footsteps. We got to follow where our heart pulls us. And when we do that, that's where we find our joy, our happiness. Everything falls into place very much easier than it would if you haven't. And so I think that's really, really important. So you
Mm,
also talk about the benefit of connecting to spirit and how we can connect to spirit. So
yeah.
share with us a little bit your perspective on how we can be more connected to spirit, and what is spirit to you?
Vast question.
Right? Big one, big
Yeah.
question.
I think two things essentially, to put it as simple as possible, but um, I feel that we are all spirit, in body, out of body. That's really the essence of who we are. And so to live that way, to realize what that means, um, makes us see things that allows us to expand. And connecting to spirit means so many things. But I sometimes feel like, actually, this was given to me when I was doing a mediumship session with somebody. It's like we are walking on a beach and the ocean is there. We don't see what is beneath the ocean. We just admire the surface and we can swim in it, etc. But there is a whole world underneath constantly that is so alive and abundant, and we really depend on. And for me, that is like the spirit world. It's always there. We walk by it. We are nourished by it. We cannot survive without it. And in a certain ways, we're guided by it without even knowing. Without the ocean, where will we be?
I
Uh,
love
so, yeah, so to realize how we are completely interconnected, it's not a far away place. Some people say like, oh, like the other side of the wherever universe. But it's really, we are walking among spirits because we are spirit ourselves. Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. Beautiful. I love that. So, what is one of your questions here is what's the capacity of our humanity to live in harmony? Can we get to that space? That was your question you put here, and you're like, wow, that's a big one. That's a big one. I love that. Can we get to harmony? How can we make a difference in the collective? I think that's the big question, and how we contribute excuse me, to that collective.
Yeah.
How can we bring more harmony into that space?
Yeah. I think it can be easy to be overwhelmed because we feel we don't have, a say or an impact on the, larger scale of what's going on. But I think many also are, especially people who come to listen to your podcasts and so forth are aware that we do make a difference one by one and together. And I think to really be the kindest, best self that we can be, and to never be like competitive or stingy with our gifts or abilities, to uplift and surround and embrace each other. Yeah, I don't know.
I love that though. No, I think that's so good when we can take time to send love and light to the collective, when we can be doing our work in the collective. That energy has a ripple effect that we can't always see what's happening. But every time we step into that role, whether we're healing ourselves or we're healing others, or we're working within community, or we're showing up, all of that has a ripple effect into the collective. And the more and more people that step in to do this work, and the more people that are searching for this, the more and more we shift the energies of the overall collective in what we're doing. And I love how you say, people come here and then they try to be very perfect. And I think we're perfect just as we are. It's not about being perfect. And we're going to have bumps in the road. I know me, I come home sometimes and I'm like, man, I wished I'd have said that differently. I wished I had done that a little differently. But isn't that the human experience of growth and expansion and lessons? I think when we reflect on our daily lives and we really look at ourselves and we try to be the best that we can be, and we try to show up the best that we can be, and we look at our words, our thoughts, our actions, and how we move forward, and we're constantly looking at that. We're trying to be the best that we can be. And I think that's all that's called for, right? And it's okay not to be perfect, and you're not going to always do it right. But if we can honestly step back and understand that everyone is connected together, and that competition, that jealousy, that all those pieces don't help us collectively. We're
When it,
here to support love, compassion,
yeah,
right? But that's a different perspective, because
yeah,
for most people, they've been taught to be what? Competitive,
yeah,
to rise to the top, to be the best, to collect the most houses, the most cars, the most money. That world out there, that's what it thrives on. But
yeah,
that's not your soul and spirit. And
no,
when you figure out that's not your driving force, it shifts and changes
yeah,
all of us, right?
yeah. That's where I feel also, to really know your soul self, then you will know, like, if I am doing this way or live that way and behave like a certain way to others, does it really make you on a soul level happy? Does it lift you? If it doesn't, it won't lift others also. And, you're dragging other people down, you will never be happy. So it's always comes back to, the soul well-being of all of us. Yeah.
And for some people, for all of us, we all need healing. We all need to heal the wounds of the past, our ancestors, our generations. I mean, I think that's what we're all here for. And sometimes people are hurting so bad that they
Mm.
want to be noticed, that they want to be seen, and they will do things to be noticed and seen that are probably not making them happy in the core of who they are. But they have a lot of healing work to do, and they've got to sometimes discover that themselves. And that's the tough part, right? Until they can see it themselves and that perspective, it's really difficult. I
Mm.
think, your brutal honesty earlier was right on. We have to be brutally honest with ourselves. And
Yeah.
sometimes we don't want to see that part of ourselves, because we all have both light, harmony, disharmony. We all have those battles. There's nobody on this planet that doesn't
Yeah.
have some of those pieces of hurt, inner child wounds, all of that. We've all had a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that. And you live in one of the most beautiful places in all the world.
Yes.
How wonderful is that?
Yes. Absolutely. I feel very blessed, and I don't take it for granted either. Yeah.
Yeah, very beautiful. So share with us some of the things that you offer. If somebody listening today, what are some of your practices, services, classes, whatever that you offer that people can connect in with you if they would love to have a session or just connect?
Mhm. So in short, it's probably in short language is called psychic mediumship.
Mm-hmm.
But within that, I do everything from reconnecting like to the soul, so soul readings, which contains, of course, the purpose, and bundle it with psychic readings or mediumship. And of course, I do some animal readings too, because I love animals.
Uh-huh.
And past life readings, remote viewing, occasionally like detective work. But it all, I usually don't separate it, but I am trained in all of those areas. So when someone comes to me, I first of all like read into their soul and what surrounds them to find what seems to be the greatest need for their upliftment, for their healing spiritually. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. That's beautiful. And we will have her website at the bottom and connections within the description so that you can connect in if you're interested and have a beautiful session with her. And I can tell the sun's coming up because your window's getting brighter and brighter. It was really dark when I saw you.
That's right.
She's like, the sun is just now coming up. I love that. I love that. I am so glad that we were able to connect today.
Yes, thank you so much. It was a privilege.
It was a beautiful session, and hopefully someday I'll get to meet you in person somewhere along the line.
Yes, that would
Yeah,
really,
you
yeah,
just never know where spirit's going to take us, right?
definitely.
For those listening, thank you so much for checking out Sacred Magic Podcast. I hope that you will like, follow, and comment on all of the platforms. We would love to see you join us on whatever is your favorite platform. We always look forward to that. And I hope that you have a sacred and magical week.
Thank you for joining us. To find out more about Vialet, head over to discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. You can also send a personal message to Vialet through email, violet@discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. If you love the show, subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. Until next time, remember, we are meant to have abundant and joyful lives. We hope to see you soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.